We are live.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Live.
Transparent Tuesday.
Oh, wow, you said that really long. Transparent Tuesdays. We are live. We are back. We are here.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about some things. And yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yes, yeah.
2 minutes or 3 minutes, actually. All right.
Oh, you ready?
Oh, are you not ready?
All right, I can go ahead. You want me to go ahead and ask the first question?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to wait, or what do you want to do?
No, we can go ahead. I guess people probably watch the replay, I guess.
Yeah.
So guys, we're still doing Q&A style, where we have questions that we take from you guys, and then of course we have our own personal questions we ask each other, and some other questions that we just kind of formulate that we think people would find interesting to kind of hear from us. So I'm gonna hop straight into it with my question for Crystal for tonight. So, babe, my question for you is, what has most surprised you about our marriage?
What has most surprised me about our marriage, or about being married to you?
Yeah.
I would probably say, what has most surprised me about being married to you? Probably how kind of like easy it's been. Like, I think, not that marriage has been easy, but like being your wife has not been the hardest thing. Yeah. Like, I think you make it easy to be your wife, but also, I don't know, like, I don't know how to describe it.
Expound.
Well, I'm trying. I don't really know how to say it. Like, you make it easy to be married to you, and that's been a surprise. And I guess, like, maybe the ease of our first year of marriage, especially because I had heard that the first year was the hardest, or just that, like, I don't know. I guess I felt that it was going to be a little bit overwhelming coming into it, and that I wasn't going to adjust easily, or like I was going to kind of struggle through the first year of marriage. That's what I thought. And that didn't happen. Like, I think we had a really great first year of marriage, surprisingly. And yeah, that was surprising to me.
Wow.
Yeah. What about you?
I guess I would have to say how in sync we are.
Yeah.
I think it's been good surprise, and then I guess you could say bad surprise too. Good and bad with it.
So you're saying how in sync we are has been surprising.
Yes.
Okay. You sure you shared it?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I might not have shared it. Yeah. So my answer to the question I asked you, what has most surprised me about marriage, would have to be just how in sync we have been, I think, in marriage. So for me, I don't know. I don't think I expected us to be as in sync as we are. As far as like in thought, in action sometimes. Though I do think it's interesting. Like there's the good in that, but there's also sometimes bad in that because of how I perceive us to be in sync. That I won't communicate because I think that you would just be in sync with me to be able to just kind of know what I'm thinking and kind of flow. Because sometimes it happens where we both kind of just flow into, well, oh, you were thinking that, I was thinking that too. Great, we made the exact same choice that worked out perfectly, or we made, choices that complemented each other perfectly because we were in sync. But then it's like sometimes it's like I'd assume like, oh yeah, she's gonna get exactly where I'm going with this, and no, and so yeah.
Yeah, no. Not all the time. It's not an all the time thing. It happens sometimes, but we're only human.
It's true. It's true. We are definitely only human. Maybe one day, when the Lord comes back, we all are able to perceive our thoughts like that. Who
Okay.
knows?
Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead and ask?
Sure.
Right?
I feel like you really want to wait for other people to hop on. I think that's what you're looking for.
I mean, I just feel like I don't want to waste questions. You know.
Is it a waste if it's recorded?
Yeah, I guess not. All right. Question for me. My question for you, I guess, would be, what would you say is like the biggest thing that we're still working on in our marriage? And I feel like I probably know the answer to this.
Communication.
Yep.
I definitely say communication. I think we do a good job of communication. Only because that has been my focus from the beginning of our marriage, like transparency. Well, even the beginning of our relationship, transparency and communication. I have dropped the ball plenty of times along the way. Regardless of how strong my focus has been on it, because I've continued to renew my commitment for communication and dig deeper and get better at communication step by step. But I feel like it's kind of one of those things. It's like with every step forward you make, or you reach a deeper level or a higher height, like it requires a stronger level of communication or a higher level of communication or even deeper thought towards communication. And I think I've learned through each misstep, like, oh, okay, we've kind of gone to another level in our marriage. I need to communicate better here. Or I need to look at how I'm thinking or how I thought about that, you know, and why did I not communicate at that moment when I could have, you know. So I think communication has definitely been a continuing issue we have to continue to grow in. Like, I think, what was I going to say? I think one of the biggest things when it comes to communication is that once you get good with communication, and I've seen this happen with us, is that you can get comfortable with your current level of communication to the point where you neglect growing in communication or neglect communicating, in which case, like, it can become a situation where communication is frayed or communication is lines get crossed, and so you don't actually.
You mean like you thought you had it figured out and you didn't?
Right. You could think you had it figured out and you didn't, or you could like think you didn't have to communicate something. Hey everybody, welcome. We kind of started, and I realized some of you guys are hopping in a little later, and that's cool. We just kind of continued on. So just kind of getting started. We're still early on in the questions.
So the question was, what is something we need to still work on in our marriage? He says communication. I agree. That's very, very much something we still need to work on.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's not even like, I think it's just because, like, we do really communicate really well. Mm-hmm. I think it's just that you are a man and I am a woman.
Right.
And I think that in general just makes communication styles very different. So the idea that we're always going to communicate, like I'm always going to tell him exactly what I'm thinking and he's always going to tell me exactly what he's thinking, it's just not a real thing. I think it's very much a hope and a dream that we're going to get there and be there like every day, but nope, we're just different. Man, that man-woman thing is just, I think it's always going to get in the way of us actually being able to fully communicate well.
I think,
or maybe not, I don't know.
I think part of that is just kind of keeping that in the front of your mind. Like, I think differently than you think differently than me, and that, like, that thought process requires a different form of communication. Like, what for me might be, like, common sense or, like, readily apparent, like, may not be apparent to you, in which case, then I need to communicate what I am thinking or what I'm seeing, just to make sure we're on the same page, versus just being like, oh, you didn't see that, or you didn't see what I was thinking, like you didn't understand what I was thinking, or you know, or halfway communicating something, and being like, you should have assumed the rest of what I was actually saying.
Halfway communication. Let me ask you this: do you think, and maybe this is like a no-brainer, but it could not be, like, who do you think is better at communicating, men or women? And maybe it's a by like the person type of thing.
I think it's by the person. I think it's kind of weird to be like it's a whole gender thing. Because I don't think it's like, you know, all guys or all women, you know, better communicators. I think it's really dependent upon people's, you know. I think in our relationship, I think you're probably the better communicator than I am. I think I definitely have to continue to improve on that.
I would argue to say, like, and maybe this is just a generalization, but I would argue to say that in most relationships, the woman is the better communicator.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yes.
I've actually seen some...
Maybe not.
People who, like, actually, like, the guy is more better communicating than the woman is. It's not as often, I will say that, but I do know some guys who communicate better.
So. All right. Well... So that was my question for you. Do you want to go ahead and get into everybody else's questions?
Sure. Did you want to do these, or actually want to ask if anybody?
You can ask.
Has any questions? Hey guys, if we do have some questions already, but if you have any particular question you want to ask us that you want us to expound upon from our experiences, and kind of answer for you, or kind of communicate or discuss, or kind of form that interaction, guys, feel free to in the chat put your question. We will get to it, and we'll talk about it, and cool. Flow.
All right. Question number 1 is, what attracted you to each other when you first met?
Let me go first, or you want to go first?
It's up to you.
Okay, I guess I'll go first.
I think I need time to think.
Take the cop out. I think for me, the first thing that was like a big check mark in your book for me was that my best friend was like, hey, I got this girl that I think would be a good fit for you. And like, I trust his judgment. And so like, he knows me really, really well. And so for me, like him kind of like, I'll say boosting you up.
Because he vouched for me?
Kind of, I guess.
Interesting. That was what...
Well, no, the thing is, we've gone through a lot. And so like, we've had similar situations before, and like, so he knows what I'm interested in and what I'm not interested in, and he's like, and he knew exactly where I was coming from, because I came out of depression and stuff like that, so he's like, no, seriously, look, I know that you're on this single tip, and you're trying to be single for a long time, but look, I got somebody who's perfect for you. Like, I've never said this to you before, so like, I got somebody, so I was like, okay, cool. So my interest was piqued already, so okay, let me just see who this is he talking about.
That is so weird. It's because he barely knew me. Like, how could he possibly know that, like, I was perfect for you?
I don't know. God must have spoke to him. But
yes.
When I saw you, it's a little superficial. I did your looks did attract me as well. But I think it was part of it too was like your confidence. Like you didn't like the way you like your positioning and your stance. Like you didn't seem like some people when they actually like sit or stand like have like I don't want to say timidity in their like positioning, but like you can tell like they're not confident about themselves a little bit, I think, by just like observing people. And so I'm very much like a people observer, so I kind of noticed like you were very much like confident, and like it was like 2 guys that you barely knew just kind of walked up to you, and like you didn't like, I guess, like edge back or like have any type of like timidity. Yeah, you're just very much confident, like, oh hey, what's up? And I was kind of like, oh okay, cool, I like the confidence, you know.
Okay.
She looks pretty. I like the confidence. And then your eyes stood out to me. And then, of course,
wow, you had a
lot. Kind of, like,
a lot of things.
Piqued my interest from the vouching. And then, like, the conversation we had was cool. So I was like, okay, yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. I think it's interesting you said confidence, because I don't know if I felt extremely confident at that point in my life. So something must have been working. I think if I would have to answer that question, what attracted me to you when we first met? Well, I kind of already knew of you and about you because we went to church together. Mm-hmm. And I saw you like performing during like church plays and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I know that guy. So like I already knew of you because you were obviously on the stage a lot. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's okay. He looks good. So I think, but really what stood out was just like the fact that I knew you from being on the stage. And to me, that was something that was very scary to me. Like, oh, look, like he's bold enough to go act on a stage and to go do, like, you were doing things that scared me. And I don't know, I guess like your, confidence or like bravery or audacity was like something that I knew about you when we first met. And also, you know, your looks. But yeah, I think that was it.
So, I mean, I guess, interestingly enough, I find it's like confidence and looks.
We're both.
Both our answers.
So that's the thing to look for, I guess. That's funny.
That is funny.
Okay. Question number 2. How do you navigate individual goals and dreams? Like chasing after them? I guess I can answer this one first. Like I don't know, I guess like we've always been very supportive of each other's ambitions and like what we wanted to pursue. Like I think we're both dreamers and we both don't really like settle for things. We kind of know what we want and we know we both have big dreams. So it's something that we talk about often. We talk about our dreams often. So when one of us is like, oh, I want to do this, or what do you think about me doing this? For instance, I guess I'll use this as an example. Last year when I decided I wanted to go back to school, go back to grad school, he was very much on board. And I think it was because, I don't know, like why were you? Like, yeah. Like you didn't even think about it that much, I feel like.
I mean, you were very clear about what you wanted. Like, you wanted to go back to grad school. I didn't have any reason to say no. Like, for me, it was the form of advancement. You already had a plan for what you wanted to do with your graduate. You wanted to use the education to get better informed, to be able to make better choices and policies and, you know, planning for, you know, children for, you know, future education stuff and the goals that you had for that as far as, you know, your own school world. So, I mean, that was a critical step for you. And I didn't see any reason to say no. And also, I'm not a dream killer. So for me...
Not a dream killer. Don't be a dream killer. That's a good lesson.
I had no reason to say no, nor did I want to say no, nor did it make sense, like, at the time. Like, I mean, did it kind of impact our relationship some? I mean, yes. Yeah. I mean, it required a lot of time for you to be, you know, doing the grad school and the homework and all the stuff that you had to do to kind of get that done, which all power to you and congrats for you getting that done.
Thanks. I graduate on Thursday.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo.
Master's degree. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was really kind of a big thing to support. Like, for me, support is everything. Like, and also it's kind of those things, like, if I want support, so it only makes sense that I give what I want. Like, I want... It kind of sounds selfish. It's not really my mindset. It's not like, oh, I give it because I want. It's kind of one of those things. It's like...
Oh, thanks.
It's kind of like do unto others as you would want done unto you. Like, I would want somebody to support me, so I should support you. Yeah. Like, if I don't support you, how would I feel if you twisted that back around on me? Especially if it was something, you know... I had a big dream, or I had something ambitious. And this thing is, like, I'm very much about, like, let's not kill the ambition. Like, ambition is a gift from God.
That's good.
So I think it's
your
important.
dreams are a gift from God.
They are.
Yeah.
The ambition that you have is a gift. So don't stifle it or try to kill it. So I think that's important.
Oh, there it is. You got it. Yeah. Cool. Did we both answer that question?
I don't know if you did.
I think so. I don't know.
I don't think you did.
I did, didn't I?
You said for we in general, but you didn't like personalize.
I think I answered. All right, the next question is, how do you handle communication about sexual needs and desires with each other?
Big question.
That is a big, big question. You know what's funny? I just realized that question has a lot to do with our next episode that we have coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our next... So I don't know if you guys have been watching, but we have a series. I know some of you have. We have a series on our YouTube channel called Lies We Believed About Sex. And, yeah, so we do talk about this a little bit in there, but... Well, in the upcoming video. But I think the real key is just to be honest. like, I think it's hard because those are like hard conversations to have, and you don't really want to offend your partner if you're trying to say something that you need, or something that, not that they're not doing enough, but maybe like you want more, or you want to try something different. And obviously, saying that in a certain way can hurt that person's feelings if they take it wrong. So I think you just have to like come with it, or you have to say it with kindness, first of all. Like, be polite. You know, like, don't be like, love. Oh, look, I didn't like how you did that. You know, like, don't be rude. But I don't know. Like, I guess I would be like, you know, hey, I liked what you did here, but maybe next time let's try this. Because I wouldn't want to offend you, I think. And also, I think men, and, you know, there's a lot of talk about like the male ego and women feeling like they have to inflate their partner's ego, so they're not actually honest about their sexual needs and desires, and they don't tell the truth about how they feel about sex. So I think for me, I know that being honest means that we both get something out of it. And I also think, you know, that if I'm saying something to you, I'm not coming from a place of offense. I'm just, you know, saying something so that we can grow together, so we can both make something better. True. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, one thing that is stuck in my brain is, I think early on in our marriage, we were watching something on TV, and it was like a talk show thing, and there was this lady on the show, and she was talking about how she never really had any joy or pleasure in sex, and how like she'd always like lied to her partners or something like that. And so for me, it's kind of one of those things where I was like, I would never want. I think in my mind I was like, we're gonna be transparent and open about this. Like, I don't want you to ever be this woman on the show. Like, see, she had to lie to me, or lie the whole time during sex, and like not enjoy anything, or not let, you know, the needs or desires known. Just kind of just playing this game, or I don't know. I guess that, and you know, you have like the random stuff on TV where you have like I think it's a comedy skit I saw on YouTube one time like years ago. It's like the thoughts that go through people's minds when they're having sex, like, oh, let me, you know, what's for dinner tonight, or you know, stuff like that. It's like, obviously that's one of those things where it's like communication isn't being done because like we're isolating in on ourselves. So I didn't want it to ever be anything like that where like we didn't communicate or let each other know. So for me, like you said, honesty was definitely huge. Communication is definitely, I'm gonna keep hammering on that. Communication. So talking about like, hey, you know, this is uncomfortable, this hurts, I want to do this, you know, or, you know, this is what I want, this is what I want to see, you know, is this something we can do, or, you know, I'm horny, you know, whatever it is, right? Like,
hey,
can we do this
over
today?
Here?
You know, like, or, you know, being open to kind of having that communication and talk. And I mean, I can see how like some people might think like that takes away from like the excitement of it, but I disagree. And we kind of talked about that in another video, but I'll mention it again here. Like, when you actually have communication and you like can plan stuff out, there is some anticipation because you know it's coming, it's there. You have a built-up anticipation, like, oh, this is happening today, you know, or this is happening in a few hours, or this is happening like now, or whatever, you know.
Now, okay. Yeah, I think, but I also think like it is kind of a hard conversation to have, because especially on the end of a woman, like I think you don't want to be, you really do want to inflate his ego, and you don't want to like be offensive, or
don't
like
me.
You
don't me.
Well,
don't
thank God
me.
you're that way, but not everybody is that way. Some people would prefer to be lied to, probably, but I think it can only help both of you, because that way it's just like, now he knows what you like, and he knows how to adjust to what you like, or, you know, I don't know, like I just feel like it might be a hard conversation to have, but the more you have it, the easier it gets, I think.
No, I will say, I mean, is the truth hurtful? I mean, it can be. It all depends on how the tone and all that stuff is, delivery is given. But I will say one thing, once you have the complete truth about like desires and needs and wants and all that stuff like that, when you actually meet the expectation, oh, there's a certain level of like yes, that happened, or I won't say I did that, but it's kind of one of those things.
That is your thought.
It's like you have a certain like I'm satisfied at the fact like I actually met that expectation, and I don't have to be like wondering in the back of my head, is she lying? Because like if she's truthful enough to tell me, oh, no, or I didn't whatever, if you're truthful about the failed expectations or the desires, the needs, or all the stuff that's not being met, when the truth comes that stuff is actually taken care of, then there's a certain level of pleasure and satisfaction and just happiness. I think joy. So don't deny yourself the joy by living in the lie.
Oh, that's good. Can't live in a lie. Your sex life is too important, honestly. God made sex. He wanted sex for your marriage.
Wanted sex.
Okay. I'm going to do one of these questions because I like this one here.
Okay.
So this is like a random card question. We have like this deck of cards that has a bunch of cool marriage questions on it. So I'm going to answer this one. And if you guys have questions, comments, whatever, you can leave them in the comments. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you again.
We know Christmas is coming. A lot of people are Christmas shopping and out doing Christmassy stuff. So thanks for watching with us. All right, this question says, what are your opinions about marriage counseling?
You want to go first?
I do. I don't mind.
Hit it.
So I, for one, am all about therapy. I have a therapist. I've been seeing her for like a year and a half. Oh, wow. It'll be 2 years in January, actually. Or February? Yes. No, January. So I've been seeing her for 2 years now. I've been in therapy for like years. Some like on and off ever since I was like 15. I don't think therapy is like something just for crazy people. I honestly think more people should be in therapy because there's just some things that you need to hash out with a trained, qualified person. Like your friends can't handle that level of depth, and they don't always have the best or correct advice for you that you might need. And so I'm all about therapy, counseling, prayer. Yes, prayer works, prayer changes things, but there are some people in this world who are therapists who are anointed to help you. My therapist is anointed just for me. She's a Christian woman, Black, she's married, I love her. I love her, okay? So I think therapy is important. We have actually gone to marriage counseling, and we actually did our marriage counseling sessions with the lady who's my therapist. And it was just like 3 sessions. I think we did it through his employer or something like that. Because,
well, there's a couple, you have marriage counseling before you get married, and then you have the marriage counseling we did after we married.
So I'm talking about like counseling, period. Like even if you have to go through the course of your marriage. Hopefully you don't, because there are some solutions you should like come to after a while.
Right. I recommend both. Obviously, I think some people do try to get married without going to the counseling before they get married, which can lead to problems. And of course,
we had both.
So I advocate for both
before and after.
So it was really good. Bishop and you did our counseling, and it was really good to get the wisdom and the experience from the older couple, because they poured a lot from their experience. I think it's like 50 plus years now of marriage for them.
Yeah.
It's a long time, but so their wisdom was great to be able to tap into that and really just kind of have that experience going into our marriage, and then also when we ran into some issues that really needed some deeper.
After we got married, after we said I do.
That's when we went to marriage counseling to kind of help us rekindle and get some other stuff situated.
I think there's just some things that, like, the reason why we went to marriage counseling was because. Well, the counselor we went to after we got married was because I think we were, 2 years in to being married? Maybe 2-3 years in to being married. We went because there were, certain things that we just could not agree on. Like, we're pretty good at communicating our issues with each other, but I think we could not come to a solution. And they weren't, surface level things. Like, they were, deep. Some of the stuff stemmed from trauma and things like that. So,
well, I can be honest. Some of it was trauma I brought into the marriage from the past hurt I had dealing with my first experience with sex. Some of it also had to deal with, I had an addiction to porn prior to getting married that just kind of flowed into our marriage. It's not really a great thing at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't healthy to our sex life, so that kind of affected things. And then, I kind of isolated myself from communicating in certain things just because I was kind of shame and guilt affected how I communicated. And so we just kind of had to attack that and kind of
with the help of a trained professional.
Get help.
We couldn't do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we needed outside help to help us figure some of that stuff out. So, marriage counseling is a go. It's a go. If you need it, not everybody does, but I think if you do have issues that are deep-seated and they're affecting your relationship, you should try it. It can be expensive, so it's not for everyone, but if you got it, then maybe it's for you.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't actually think about it. I think most employers actually have like a certain amount of time you can, for free go to a counselor.
Isn't that what we did?
It's a part of your yes. It's a part of your well, for most companies, it's a part of your workers' benefits. But most people don't take advantage of it. Yeah. So even if it's just to kind of try it out and just kind of see, I recommend it. Just to kind of attack some deep-seated issues, because we all got trauma. We all got different things we've gone through. So I think it's important to kind of take the roots out, so that way it won't continue to infect your life.
Yeah. Oh, can I say something else about that? And then I guess we could sign off.
Mm-hmm.
I also think therapy forces you to have the hard conversations. Because some conversations you don't even want to have when it's just you and the other person, because you think, oh, this is going to blow up or this is not going to end well. So I think putting a person between you guys that is the, mediator, and also there to help you solve the problem. Like, the therapist isn't just going to let the problem keep going. Like, they're there to actively help you solve it. And so you're going to come to a resolution or a conclusion. And so I think that's another benefit, is that you actively have someone else there to be, like a safe person, or just to actively make sure, to help you follow through and be accountable to solving this issue. Whereas in your house or in your relationship, when it's just you two, you guys might be like, oh, let's just sweep it under the rug. So there were certain things we were not going to sweep under the rug. And so we got help, and she helped us, and she's still my therapist to this day. I love her. I think I need to buy her a Christmas present, actually, now that I think about that. But yeah, good stuff.
All to the glory of God.
Yeah. And we solved a lot of that stuff, too. I think we're in a much better place thanks to the counseling that we went to.
It was the first step of many.
Yeah. The Lord will do it. He worked.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So, any questions from you guys?
While we're here.
Have you guys enjoyed the live tonight?
Oh, I just want to say again, thank you guys for coming on the live tonight, but also thanks to everybody. If you're watching the replay, thank you guys so much for the love and the support in just, watching the videos, because I did not think anyone was actually going to watch. So I was very surprised at the response. And I was like, oh, people saw it? It kind of was intimidating. Because originally, we decided to go live because someone coached me into it, because I had a fear of doing this. And the fear didn't go away. I just had to overcome it. Mm-hmm. So it was cool to see, people actually paid attention. It was also scary, but cool. So thanks.
Thank you. Continue to stay involved, engaged, part of the community. Feel free to be transparent in your own lives as we try to be transparent. I know, I'm sorry. This feels very informal message at the end to let you know. Take an action.
Right.
Feel free to share this with anybody. I appreciate those of you guys who have shared it with your friends. We love you guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you guys. And we're, blown away with our life and our testimony as we continue to talk and share has impacted your life and that you get something from it. That God uses what we have gone through and what we say to help you in some form or fashion and point to Him, and He get glory. And we're all part of that.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready for bed. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you later.